Hi guys, my name is Lily and I am a freshman in college. I go to Ball State University and it's officially been my first semester in college. I'm literally filming this video over winter break. So I thought I would take a second and really talk about my college experience so far. As somebody who's completed her first semester and passed all her classes, thank you very much. And yes, we are filming this on my iPhone compared to my video camera. I'm currently filming a vlog on my video camera and so I didn't want to mix up the footage. So I'm also going to be drinking an Orange Kiss while we kind of talk about it. This is going to be in depth. This is not going to be bashing people. There are going to be people mentioned, but I'm going to give everybody code names so I don't talk about somebody and make them mad. Okay? Okay, cool. To start off, I have always wanted to go to college to be a small animal veterinarian, right? And I live in the Midwest, and so there's really some limited schools that you can really go to for that. The biggest one is Purdue University. It is kind of the most well-known vet school in the Midwest. It's very highly rated. It's like one of the top 10 colleges in the US or something, maybe in the Midwest. And so it's very hard to get into because of that, and that was always my goal. But I always wanted to start out at Purdue and like do my whole 8 years there. When it was a time to apply, I realized how expensive Purdue was. I never really thought about it because it was just kind of always my dream school. And so I just was like, you know what, that might not be financially good for my family right now. So I kind of started looking at colleges, anything that would get me into Purdue later on. So I wanted to start out cheaper because Purdue will be very expensive. And so I started looking at colleges. I looked at Huntington, which is a private college. It's a, faith-based college. So there's like church every Sunday. There's like a dress code, stuff like that, curfews. And I was like, okay, that's a lot of rules, but I understand if it's a faith-based college, it's going to be kind of very strict. It was also very expensive. And so I got in, but I didn't really want to go there. And so then my boyfriend's going to Ball State for music education. And that's always been his dream school. It's always been what he's wanted to do. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to look into it too because it was cheap. It was a good school. It's not horrible. And so I applied and I made it. I got into the honors college, but I didn't want to do it because it was like more money and more academic stuff that you have to do, which probably would have been smarter saying that I have to go into vet school. But my goal right now is to do my 4 years. I'm majoring in biology. And if I don't get into vet school, I'm just going to be a vet tech. That's just kind of how I'm looking at it. If I don't get into vet school, I'm going to be a vet tech, and then I can be a veterinarian later on in life. So I just want to be a vet tech or a veterinarian. I would really go for either one. I'm not like feeling picky, you know what I mean? And so I got into Ball State, and my parents decided that I was going to go to Ball State. It was a group decision. Obviously, they weren't choosing for me. But my boyfriend's going there, and I have really bad anxiety. I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD. I'm on medication for my anxiety, so it was really crucial to me to have a comfort person nearby. And so I also decided to go to the same college as my boyfriend. So I'm a Ball State Cardinal. Chirp, chirp. A really big stress for me was finding a roommate because I'm not really good at making friends. Like, I can't ever find friends that like me. And I've never been good with friends. I never have been. And so I met with this girl on the roommate portal, and we're different majors. She's architecture and I'm biology. And we started talking and we really started to get along. We started talking in March, by the way, March of this year. So we started talking really early on and we clicked. We really liked each other. We would talk all the time. And so we were basically talking up until move-in. So basically March to August we talked nonstop. I even bought her birthday presents. I think her birthday's in July, and I bought her birthday gifts and sent them to her house. So we really got along really good, right? We even met up at one point and hung out and spent the day together and had a really fun day. And so we were really confident in each other that we would be really good roommates. And so we ended up living in the architecture building. So basically how it works at Ball State is you're placed based on where your major is. So biology majors or STEM majors typically live in the same building, and then architecture majors, stuff like that. And so we got placed in her major building, which is obviously not my major. And so once I figured that out, it was the newest dorm building. So it was super nice, had a bunch of amenities, and was just very nice. Conveniently though, it was right next door to my boyfriend's dorm, which he is the music and art dorm. So it was right next door to mine. So I could just walk down and there be my boyfriend's dorm, which was really convenient for the first couple of months due to my anxiety. So we get moved in and I'm just really feeling homesick. I mean, I'm crying myself to sleep every night. And I'm really hating it. I really wish I never went to college at that point because I was just really homesick and miserable. Once again, only child. And so it's really hard for me to be away from mom and dad. And it was just sucky. It was just really sucky. I didn't know where anybody was. I didn't know anybody on campus. And also I couldn't really find any of my classes. And I was so stressed out about making sure I could find my classes that it was just a big concern of mine. So we walked my classes. My roommate and I hung out a lot. And obviously we hung out with my boyfriend a lot too because my boyfriend's there. She knew I had a boyfriend, all that good stuff. And so, We both get moved in. We're having a good time. I'm crying a lot though because I miss my family, but I'm doing that when she's not around. You know what I mean? And when I first got there, I would have my boyfriend over a lot, and I could kind of tell my roommate wasn't really vibing with it. And I want to preface, we did say that my boyfriend was allowed to come over as long as I asked, right? I would always ask. He never spent the night, and I could always tell she just wasn't really having, like, she wasn't really enjoying having him over. I mean, he didn't really talk to her. He just kind of like sit in my bed. We just kind of, talked, mind our own business. We were appropriate, you know what I mean? Not kissing or anything like too grotesque. And I just kind of feeling she wasn't vibing with it, which is obviously fine. It's her room too. Like, it wasn't like a big deal. This was never something that was vocalized, but it made me be like, oh, okay. So we started hanging out at his dorm more just to give her that privacy because she was in the dorm a lot doing homework and stuff. And my hall was very frequent with meetings, right? Our RA was always trying to get us to hang out with each other and make all of us best friends. And that kind of made me uncomfortable because it was pushed. It wasn't really like naturally you get to know each other. It was we were all pushed together, and I didn't really click with any of the girls, but my roommate did because they all are architecture majors. Because remember, this is not my building, this is her building. And I also knew that going into it that I probably wouldn't click with any of the girls because we're not the same major, but that doesn't mean we're not going to be friends, right? And so she's starting to click with everybody. This is like a month or two in, and once school starts, her and I just quit hanging out. We don't really talk as much as we used to. We used to talk a lot more. I don't know if we just got busy, you know what I'm saying? But I was always gone with my boyfriend or at classes or studying because we both have very demanding majors, obviously different kinds of demand, but demanding nonetheless. And so she started to gel more with the girls in the hallway because they were in her classes, which is literally just common sense. It's not that big of a deal. I made my own friends. It was literally fine. Like, you're just being roommates, you know what I'm saying? But we started to get a little bit more distant as the year progressed, and it was getting to the point where we weren't even talking to each other, like, at all. And I wasn't feeling very included with the hall girls. They would do this thing where they always watch movies in the hallway, which is literally fine because we all live there. But I just started to feel like they didn't like me. You know, I would walk in and they would get very quiet when I would come around. And I want to point out, I've never talked to any of these girls before, right? Like I said, we didn't really gel. So I didn't go to any of the movie events that they had because I had stuff I had to do, or I just didn't want to go because it was like 9:30 at night, and I was like, I just want to go to bed because I go to bed really early, which is also something I'll talk about in a little bit. So whenever I would walk by them, they would get kind of quiet, or they all kind of like turn over and look at me, and I was like, okay, I don't know why y'all are being this way because I've never talked to you guys before. Like, I've never made an effort to get to know you because you didn't make one for me, right? They've invited me before, but it was kind of awkward, like, oh, you can come too if you want. And I was like, oh, no, thank you, I'm good, because I really was good. Most of the time they asked me to go to stuff, I was like doing laundry or studying, so I was like, oh no, thank you, have a good time. Wasn't rude about it. I didn't care. It's like, you guys go do it. I'm fine. I was like one of the only girls that didn't go to any of the movie nights because there's a couple of like lonelier girls that, kind of keep to themselves just like me. Like I said, I'm kind of a loner. I don't really make friends. I have maybe like 2 friends, and that's like it, and that's all I need, right? And then it started to the point where my boyfriend would come over sometimes. Whenever my roommate wasn't there, he would come over. She would know about it, or he would just come over and help me grab stuff, and then we'd go to his dorm, whatever. But when my boyfriend would walk by, I've heard them whisper stuff about him before, calling him weird, and we both heard it, right? And I was kind of like, that's kind of weird, right? And there was one time my boyfriend was carrying my bags because we just got back from the weekend, because we go home every single weekend, right? And they were like whispering about him carrying my bags, and I was like, you guys are weird, right? It was getting to the point where they were kind of verbally saying stuff about me, whispering about me, and we both heard it, right? Me and my boyfriend. And so I was starting to feel not comfortable in my own dorm. And there was one night where they all were having a movie night, and 3 guys came knocking on my door, banging on it. They didn't say my name or my roommate's name, and I was freaking out. They were trying to get in. I mean, they were twisting the door handle. I was terrified. This is when my roommate and I were not really talking anymore, so I didn't know what was going on, and I was terrified, like scared for my life. I called the RA. I was freaking out. I was like, there's guys trying to get into my dorm. Like, this is not okay. This is terrifying. And so they didn't do anything about it. They just said I was being dramatic, and they probably lived on my floor. It was an all-girls floor, by the way. So there was something sketchy going on there. And then I do YouTube, which is literally my YouTube channel, right? And I came on here talking about how, I think someone commented and said, oh, how's college going? And I said, I'm not really gelling with the girls, but that's okay. I keep to myself. It's not that big of a deal. And something like it was really loud at night because they have movie nights and they're running down the halls and they're all laughing, which is fine. It's understandable. And I wasn't really complaining. I was just voicing how I felt, which I'm entitled to because I'm paying to be there too. And I wasn't mad at anybody. I wasn't angry at anybody. I was just voicing how I felt with no disrespect, just how I feel. Like I said, I don't have anything against the girls, but I wasn't feeling very welcomed at that point. You know what I mean? And so I guess a couple of the girls somehow found my TikTok, or not my TikTok, my YouTube, which I'm only guessing I got from my roommate because there's nobody else that knew about it at that school. My YouTube account, it was very small at the time. It still is, right? I'm not famous, so I was kind of like, suspicious. They commented and said like, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way, maybe if you like joined us. And it was like coming off as like polite, but you could tell there's like an underlying hint of maybe annoyance or like girl shut up. And there was like I think 2 or 3 of them that commented on the video. I ended up deleting the vlog because people kept viewing it over and over, and you could tell once they found it, the views like multiplied, and I was like, I knew it was just trouble, so I took the video down. And then they reported me to my RA for bullying and harassment. And so the RA was like, we need to talk about this. And I was very like, I don't want to talk about it. I did nothing wrong. These people are crazy. You know what I mean? I was like, I didn't do anything. So the RA gets me in her office and she goes, they're trying to tell me that you bullied them because you stated how you felt. And I said my piece. I said, I didn't mean harm. Someone asked me how I feel. And so I voiced it. I was like, I wasn't even disrespectful about it. It's just how I feel. Like, I'm not going to change that. And she goes, you just stated your opinion. You're not in trouble. Go. Like, she had to, take care of it because it was reported. But she was like, you're not in trouble. So I just like left and I was like, haha, suckers. They want to get me in trouble, but nothing happened. That was fun. And then after that, I got more dirty looks, They would like sometimes talk to me in the bathroom like, oh, hi, Lily. But it was just kind of odd, Like I didn't feel comfortable. So it was getting to the point where my mental health was getting so badly affected. Sorry, you guys can hear my dogs. I didn't even want to go to my own dorm. I would just stay the night at my boyfriend's house as much as I could because I didn't feel safe in my own dorm. And I eventually received an email about moving out of my dorm to get a double dorm but use it as a single. So basically no roommate. And so I sent an email saying I had mental health issues and my dorm was just not really suiting for me. And I got approved for it. So I ended up getting like the, okay, you can move. And this was in October. And so I was just crying myself to sleep like every single night, always coming home. I just hated my dorm. I didn't like my roommate anymore. Like, it just wasn't gelling how it used to gel. And I would go to sleep early, like maybe 11 o'clock, 10, and she would be out with her movie nights. And then she would come in at like 12 a.m. and turn on her lamp and do homework, but her lamp was so bright, it would light up the whole room because it was on her bed. And then I couldn't sleep. And it was kind of like, okay, like we had a rule, like once it was bedtime, we would just go to bed. It was like 11 o'clock at night. It wasn't even like it was like early. And sometimes it'd be like 12:30 and she'd have her like whole room lit up. And I was like, oh, come on, because I wouldn't be able to go to sleep. But I didn't say anything because remember, we weren't talking. And so once I got approved to move out on Monday, and my parents and I decided that Friday we were going to move out. I would skip my classes and dip. It was kind of like an Irish goodbye. I didn't tell her I was moving out. Nobody knew. But very slowly, once I got my dorm key to my new dorm, I started moving stuff out very slowly. Small stuff that I wouldn't need throughout the week. I had my friend help me do that. And then Friday came. It was like 8 a.m. She was at class. My mom and I packed everything up and we moved. But some girls across the hall caught me moving and they got a hold of my roommate. Darn it, I tried to get away. And she goes, hey, so I was told you're moving. And I was like, yep, I'm leaving. And she goes, was it a personal was it me? Was it just not working for you? And I think I said like, it's just not working out, period. And then she texted me something else and I blocked her number. Because I was like, I don't want to, I'm moving out, we're done, we're not friends, like. And so we got everything moved out, got to the new dorm, and then I had to come back and do a room check because no one was able to do it in the morning when I moved out. And so I had to come back and have the RAs check the room. So I had my dad go with me. So we're coming to my old dorm, and you can hear a bunch of chit chatter from my old dorm. And she had all of her friends in there already moving all the stuff around. And I was like, girl, it's been 2 hours. So she was pretty happy to have me out of there. And the RA goes to my old roommate, you know that you're gonna have to get a new roommate, because she didn't pay extra like I did for a double as a single, so she had to get a new roommate. And I was kind of walking out like, that's what you get, have a good day. Like, no hard feelings, but it wasn't gonna work out. I could not live with her. Like, it would be horrible. So I got moved into my new dorm, and I just kind of stick to myself. I just kind of do my own thing, and it's beautiful. It got to the point where my RA asked me if I ever leave my room. She was like, we never see you, like nobody has talked to you. And I was like, that's for a reason. I just don't like to socialize, and my RA is always trying to get me to come and stuff, and I'm like not like a meeting, but like she tries to get me to go to events that I don't want to go to. Like one time it was like a 11:30 p.m. like movie night, and it had like a test the next day, and I was like, I have a test. Like, I'm sorry if you guys think I'm weird, but also my hallway is very loud because I moved to a party dorm. My boyfriend comes over all the time. It's beautiful. He spends the night. We just hang out. It's a big dorm all to myself. But now if I come back there and there's someone living in there, I'm gonna freaking flip. But I paid extra to have it as a single, so should be fine. But I'm getting an apartment next year, but academically I'm doing great. I have like a 3 GPA, like a 3.0 GPA, which is good for your first semester, right? I had 1C and that was it. But it's been a long journey. It was really rough the first couple of months, but like I'm looking forward to this new semester. But that is an in-depth how it's been so far. So I hope you guys enjoyed.